Finance and Audit Committee meeting. I would like to call today's meeting to order. The board secretary will call the roll call to establish a quorum.
Commissioner Brewer?
Here.
Commissioner Hart? Commissioner Marcus?
Here.
Commissioner Markowski?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Lee. Let the record reflect that in addition to the committee members, we have Chairman Hooker and Vice Chair Chico. Commissioner Washington are also in attendance. At this time, speakers are reminded to register at the sign-in desk to address the committee. Registration will continue for the next 5 minutes. After the 5 minutes have expired, the secretary will not accept any more cards. Comments from the audience will be entertained after presentation by staff and discussion by commissioners. Your comments must be related to today's items listed on today's agenda, on the Finance and Audit Committee agenda. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to address the committee. You will be advised when 30 seconds remain and when your time is up. As a reminder, personal attacks and abusive language leveled at commissioners, staff, residents, or other individuals will not be tolerated. Individuals who are disruptive during the meeting will be given a warning and will, if necessary, be removed from the meeting. The first voting matter today is the minutes for the Finance and Audit Committee meeting of the meetings of November 21, 2017. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed votes, abstentions, or recusals? Hearing none, the motion carries, and the November 21, 2017 minutes are approved as submitted. We have 2 items for consideration by the Finance and Audit Committee. Both items will be presented by Mike Gorgoni, Chief Investment Officer. We will start with item number 1, authorization to approve the adoption of the Chicago Housing Authority Retirement Plan and Trust as amended and restated, effective September 21, 2017. Mike.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you, we have a resolution to approve the adoption of the CHA Retirement Plan and Trust, restated and amended plan, which is effective September 21st, 2017. At that date, the Chicago Housing Authority Retirement Plan Board of Trustees voted on a new plan, which was amended and restated, which is done, intermittently for best practice and continuous improvement items. A couple of the key revisions which we did in terms of the restatement of the 21st was that we've added 2 new members to the Board of Trustee, which was we added a provision for the Chief Administrative Officer of the CHA to be a member of the Plan of Trustees, as well as another a CEO designate of a CHA staff employee below the role of director. Additionally, we included in there a clause to clarify clarify that there needs to be a participation agreement for any third-party group of employees that would be participating in the plan, and that would come about traditionally with a controlled group or a component unit type organization. Thirdly, we tweaked up some rules relating to several of the people that are in the plan that had less than 5 years of vesting, as well as we've updated the fund's custodial name, which was due to a change in custodians through a process that was originated in 2016. So any questions on this matter?
Commissioners, do you have any questions, comments?
Sure, I have a question. I know that there's some clarification of the participation rules. Are there any changes or just clarifications to those rules?
So when I say clarification, what we're actually doing, there was no rules or formal requirements for participation. And what we're doing is we indicated in there within the plan itself that moving forward, that there would be a participation agreement between all parties and signed by the board of CHA, as well as the trustees of the retirement plan and this third-party organization, would need to be affected prior to any participation. So that just calls out that there needs to be a participation agreement.
But we're not approving any participation agreements right now.
Not in resolution number 1.
Yeah. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? Hearing no questions, I have one person registered to testify from the public, Raphael Leon. Raphael.
Good morning. My name is Rafael Leon. I'm the Executive Director of CMHDC, the Chicago Metropolitan Housing Development Corporation, which is also an instrumentality of the CHA. I think that might clarify my question because I just wanted to make sure that there was a provision that will allow us to continue participating in the program, so that has been clarified. Thank you.
And I'd like to just note for the record that I'm on the board of it's a not-for-profit Chicago Metropolitan Housing Development Corporation, and I'll be recusing myself from item number 2, which deals specifically with them, but I won't be recusing from this one. If commissioners do not have any further questions or comments, may I have a motion to approve item number 1?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed votes, recusals, or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries, and the resolution for item number 1 is approved. So I will be turning over the gavel here for number 2 to Commissioner Chico, and I'll be recusing myself from this one.
Thanks, Commissioner Markowski. Moving on to item number 2, authorization to approve participation agreement. I had the same one.
You got
Thank
it?
you. I thought I did not.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Authorization to approve participation agreement allowing Chicago Metropolitan Housing Development Corporation's participation for 2018 as a participating employer in the Chicago Housing Authority's retirement plan. Mike?
Yes, Commissioner. So this is a companion piece to resolution number 1. And what we are asking here is that for the Board of Commissioners to explicitly approve a participation agreement which allows CMHDC's participation during 2018 as a participating employer within the Chicago Housing Authority's retirement plan and trust. We have indicated here that the plan will be effective from January 1, 18 through 12/31/2018. Additionally, there will cover 6 existing employees of CMHDC, and the resolution, the participation agreement also calls out rules and regulations with respect to payments, amounts, et cetera, consistent with 8.2 of the retirement plan and trust as amended. So any questions on resolution number 2?
Commissioners, any questions? I do
just-
have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just one basic question, just to clarify for the record. Why does it make sense for us to allow these employees to participate in our retirement plan?
The fact of the matter is that it's been basically an informal understanding that's been going on for a number of years. CHMDC was a prior component unit and controlled group. This is an accommodation, I believe, at this time to extend such things under a formal agreement, which will be a little more consistent with our general rules and practices.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? I do have a card from Rafael, but would you like to speak on this item, Rafael?
Yes, for the record, again, my name is Rafael Leon. Thank you for extending these arrangements. I think that Commissioner Washington is the only one who remembers me from 20 years ago when we started participating in the plans with the CHA as an instrumentality. So there are employees that have been participating for 20 years, 30 years, 15 years. And I would be more than happy to talk to anyone who would like to learn more about CMHDC and what we have done for the CHA and what we're willing to do. So I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Rafael.
This is only for 1 year.
1 year, correct. If commissioners do not have any further questions or comments, may I have a motion to approve item number 2?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed votes, recusals, or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries and the resolution for item number 2 is approved. Mr. Markowski, Commissioner.
Thank you,
Chairman
Commissioners.
Markowski, I turn the gavel back over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vice Chair Chico. Since there's no further business to discuss, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
In favor, say aye. Are there any nays? Hearing none, the January 16th Finance and Audit Committee meeting is now adjourned.
Good morning. Welcome to the January 16th Real Estate Operations Development Committee meeting. My name is Matthew Brewer, and I'm the chairman of the committee. We'll start the meeting by establishing that we have a quorum.
Commissioner Harris? Commissioner Gronkowski?
Here.
Commissioner Washington?
Here.
Commissioner Brewer?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Lee.
And for the record, Commissioner Harris is here, but just voting.
Okay, great, thank you. Let the record reflect that present also, but not counted for quorum, are Chairman Hooker, Commissioners, and Commissioner Matos. A brief reminder, speakers are requested to register at the sign-in desk to address the committee. Registration will continue for the next 5 minutes. After 5 minutes have expired, the secretary will not accept any more cards. Comments from the audience will be entertained after presentation by the staff and discussion by the commissioners. Your comments must directly relate to items 3 through 6 on the agenda, and each speaker will have 2 minutes to address the committee. We'll advise you when you have 30 seconds remaining. Individuals who are disruptive will be given a warning and, if necessary, removed from the meeting. The first voting matter today is approval of the minutes for the Real Estate Operations Development Committee meeting of November 21st, 2017. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays, recusals, or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries, and the resolution, or actually the minutes for November 21st are hereby approved. We have 4 items for consideration by the committee. We'll start with item number 3, which is a recommendation to approve 12 development teams for mixed finance housing and mixed-use development delivery through pre-qualified team approach. This item will be presented by Ann McKenzie, our Chief Development Officer.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Ann McKenzie, Chief Development Officer, and actually this will be presented by Maya Hadari, Director of Development.
Okay. Thank
Good
you.
morning, Commissioners. I'm Maya Hodari, the Director of Development. This morning, we are seeking your approval to award 12 pre-qualified development teams. The CHA Pre-Qualified Development Team program is part of CHA's unit delivery strategy. In November of 2017, CHA released a solicitation inviting pre-qualifications from developers to be part of CHA's PDT pool. We received 12 responses in December of 2017, and this morning we're seeking your approval to award 12 pre-qualified development teams.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Yes. I'll approve. For these developers, the first 6, Harlem Metropolitan Preservation Community Builders Habitat and Turnstone. Is there any measurements or checks and balances put in place so we won't have the same thing we had with the last group when we selected Novak from the group?
I'm sorry, you said when
We had another set of folks on the pre-approved list, and we let them remain on site for like 4.5 years, and everything just was totally swapped at the Lincoln Perry Annex buildings. Do we have any measures in place so if we see they're not performing the first year, if they're doing rehabbing of units like senior buildings, what have you, is there any mechanism in place to get rid of them in the first year?
Commissioner, I'll handle that question. Yes, it's always a concern to make sure that that if somebody's not performing, that they are not going to get the work. So this is qualifications for developers for things less than 5 acres that can be done in one phase. So we will enter into agreements with schedules, and if those schedules aren't met, then these developers would not be, they would not continue. It's a little bit different than the general contractors under the task order contracting, which is a kind of a next available thing. This actually, they will have to come back with an actual proposal for a real site, and that we will insist on schedules and budgets, and we will monitor that.
Okay, I have another question. I know some of these companies been around for years, and I know Habitat has been around for years, and just about everything they build look nice, but less than 10 years it's falling apart, and they continue to be on the list. We not doing, and then we have hosting on the list. We not, if they're on this pre-approved for mixed income, we're not doing any more bailouts, are we?
So I think, like Ann mentioned, this is just the pre-qualified development team
I know
pool.
what it
So
is.
for each 5-acre or less site CHA is interested in proceeding with development for, we invite proposals and we evaluate the group of proposals that we receive. So this isn't a tool for CHA to provide additional financing to bail out a property.
I'm just not, if we should chose one of these folks on the list, will we follow, hold them to the strictest of guidelines? Because some on the list that we have bailed out, we bailed them out before, they sure can't do nothing for us now. And then some of them, every time they build, it's less than 10 years, less than 8 years, it's falling apart.
So for each
never
discrete
put 'em on the list.
solicitation, we do solicit the entire pool. So we evaluate all responses we receive,
I know about the pool, but I also know the questions that I ask from experience.
and we consider previous experience as part of the evaluation.
We'll see.
Commissioner
We'll be back. I'll be back.
Can I just follow up on some of that? So the entire pool, these, these 12 that we're adding, how big is the entire pool then?
26 firms currently.
26. And how long are they, so I'm added today, I'm one of these firms, I'm added today. How long am I on this list?
2-year term.
So everybody's got a 2-year term. And I would just like to emphasize what Commissioner Washington is saying. If in a prior development or a current development, so you can be on this list, but anytime a specific development comes up, if somebody's not performing well as a developer on another site or failing on a contract, I mean, we want to know that, and they should not be eligible the same way everybody else is for the next development in question. You agree
Okay.
with that?
They shouldn't be on the list.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Markowski. Are there any other questions from the commissioners?
I don't have a question. I have some information I'd like to share with the Mardell Brown Bowsfield Senior Building. I'd like to say that I was approached by the community. There is a charter school across the street from that particular site, and the young people there went over to the Mardell Bowsfield Senior Building and distributed over 500 canned good items to the residents there. And I thought that that was very, very nice, and that was done right at Christmas. So we are reaching out to people in the community to help us and to develop our partnerships. So I just wanted to make that known.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Any more questions from the commissioners? I do have one comment card from Paul McKinley. Thought I just saw.
I saw.
Paul McKinley? All right, we're gonna keep going then. If there are no more comments from the public, may I have a motion to approve item number 3?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays, recusals, or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries, and the resolution for item number 3 is approved.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 4. The next 3 items will be presented by Derek Messier, our Chief Property Officer. Item number 4 is the authorization to submit rental assistance demonstration financing plans and enter into 11 RAD conversion commitments with HUD for the following properties: Maria Diaz Martinez Apartments, Margaret Day Blake Apartments, Flannery, Armour Square, Mary Jane Richardson Apartments, Madell Brown Bowfield Apartments, Vivian Harsh Apartments, Judge Green Apartments, Mahalia Jackson Apartments, Ella Flagg Apartments, and Ada McKinley Apartments.
Good morning, Commissioners. With me today is our Senior Director for RAD, Jewel Walton, and she will present this item.
Good morning, Commissioners. We are asking for authorization to proceed with $130.2 million of capital funds to place within 11 senior buildings over the next 3 years. Because we are looking to convert these under RAD, one of the key components of RAD is reinvestment. So we're looking to use those capital funds to reinvest within the properties. They range in terms of the construction needs from minor cosmetic work to major rehab that we look to pursue at Armour Square. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Washington?
Yes. Have you all been out to these buildings yet to explain it to the residents?
Some we have, and some are in progress.
But I know we talked about this before in the beginning of RAD. You prematurely, what I call it prematurely, you put it on the agenda. Don't you think you should discuss with the residents to let them hear it after the meeting? Folks, some of these folks will go back and tell their seniors our building's finna turn to RAD, and the folks holler, I never got a letter, no one never told me.
Sure. So we've had initial meetings at all of these buildings at one point in time, but in terms of the refreshing, that is happening. So we have quite a few that are scheduled in those, but we haven't been to them for the first time in quite some time, admittedly. We were looking to.
All the builders know the RAD is coming, but they
Yes.
just want to know when their building actually go into RAD.
Absolutely. So
And I think we should have went to RAD prior to this meeting.
No, I understand. So we had to, because of some pressures from HUD in terms of scheduling, we were looking to move forward these before January 31st. So we fully intend, it's a HUD requirement that we do have these meetings with them before we ever submit a financing plan to them. So those are all scheduled between this week and next week.
Okay, because I know also the buildings that have went into RAD, some of their years is up now. If they continue to call off, so those buildings, this year is up now, some folks want to transfer, what have you. Can you go back and let them know the process? Because when they come to the office, I just tell them to call the management office, call your management office.
Yes, we'll
They need to know the
make them fully
process.
abreast of the process, yes.
Those whose term is up for the year, whether they want to transfer out or what have you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, Commissioner Murkowski?
Yes, Jewel, you referenced something, you said something about pressure from HUD. Could you tell us why are we moving on all 11 of these properties right now?
Sure. So typically we bring these in chunks, smaller chunks, usually 2 to 3 at a time. But HUD is instituting a new tool to use for physical condition assessments, where they've said if financing plans aren't submitted by the end of this month, you're forced to use the new tool, which would consist of a new procurement for things that we've already paid for. So in order to make best interest of what our administrative costs are to facilitate this program, we've decided to move some of these up because we've paid for the physical condition assessment tools already. And we also are looking to make a good faith effort to adhere to HUD's timelines.
And the reason we were doing the physical condition assessments already is because these are already part of an overall RAD plan that we had approved, right?
Correct. So these are senior buildings that have been in our proposed RAD portfolio for some time. So now we're looking to facilitate the next steps with the conversion.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And with the addition of these properties, what is our total, if you have this information, total number of RAD units? What will it be?
So I don't have this actual of the total 11, but the entire award is 10,937. So I think this represents at least maybe 3,200, I believe.
So Commissioner, this would double the amount of properties or units we currently have
Okay, that's what I-
closed for the RAD program.
Good, that's what I thought. Okay.
So what we're approving today is the completion and submission of these plans to HUD. But when will the actual conversions and rehab take place? When do you envision that taking place?
It will be scattered throughout the first half of this year. So while we're submitting financing plans, the goal for these is for by the 31st of this month. The actual closing schedule is staggered. It's going to be based on their review time as well as environmental reports that come in.
But we're not going to complete all rehab of all 11 of these properties in the first half of this year.
No, but we'll complete the conversion. In terms of the financing for it, we'll
yes.
look to stage later.
And that'll be how much later?
Up to 3 years
Yeah.
in time.
Okay,
Correct.
Thanks. I just wanted to make sure clear, it's not all like happening tomorrow or something.
Right.
I would just like to say in my readings, I understood that there were some roofs that needed to be completely repaired, a complete repair of roofs. And so my concern is, will that be done right away? How soon will that be done? Because that is something that is very, very serious when we talk about a complete roof repair.
Yes, Commissioner. So while we develop construction documents and put those projects out to bid, what we will be doing is doing temporary repairs to make sure that our seniors don't have any water intrusion or any other problems. So we recognize those, and we're already addressing those problems.
So you have a time frame when you perhaps would begin working on such a plan for them?
Yes, so we can provide a more detailed schedule for each building's schedule, because each is slightly different, when the full replacement would be going on. But last spring and summer, when we had the assessments of these buildings and noticed that we had roof problems or other things, we took on temporary repairs at those time, rather than wait for a project that, again, may go through another season or two before it gets into construction.
Well, I would like to have see your plan for how you're going to approach these items that need attention.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the commissioners? Hearing none, and I don't have any comments from the public for this item. May I have a motion to approve item number 4?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays, recusals, or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries, and the resolution for item number 4 is approved.
Thank you.
This brings us to item number 5, which is an authorization to approve the fiscal year 2018 admission and continued occupancy policy, also known as ACOP.
Thank you, Commissioners. This morning, Ketsia Colonnay, our Director for Occupancy, will be joining me to help present the item.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We are seeking approval for 4 primary updates to the ACOP. One is related to our waitlist preferences. There are 2 preferences that we're seeking to add. One is a homeless preference. So for individuals who lack a fixed nighttime residence or who are a part of the City of Chicago or the Chicago Continuums of Cares database would be eligible for the homeless preference. This preference would be applicable to our family wait list, our site-based wait list, and our senior housing wait list. The next preference is applicable to individuals who are victims of a federally declared disaster. We're seeking to add this preference specifically to our senior housing wait list. We currently have this preference today for our family wait list. The next policy or item that we're looking to add is our smoke-free housing policy. So HUD is requiring by July 2018 that all public housing becomes smoke-free. So all properties would be required to ensure that lit tobacco products, which involve the burning of tobacco leaves, are not allowed at our properties. And essentially, that is within the properties and 25 feet from the buildings as well. The next item is to ensure that we're in compliance with our administrative plan. So we're seeking to ensure that residents who are currently within public housing and their properties are converted to RAD, that residents have the opportunity to transfer to another public housing property, but the costs associated with those transfers will be the responsibility of the resident. And the last item is related to our work requirement. We are looking to add 1 additional exemption. So essentially, if a resident is impacted by a federally declared disaster, we're looking to allow these individuals to be exempt from the work requirement for a total of 180 calendar days. And those are the extent of our updates to the ACOP.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Markowski.
I have a question just about these preferences. So we have homeless and victims of disasters, and I think you've told me before veterans. Is that right?
We currently have a preference for veterans.
Veterans.
Today.
And is there any others that I'm forgetting?
So our preferences today are for individuals who are victims of federally declared disasters, veterans, family unification, and homeless. We're adding that one as well.
And then when, does the preference mean that I have to
My
be...
apologies, I'm sorry. And we also have one for victims of domestic violence.
Okay. So when you get a preference, does it mean that you just get higher on the wait list, or does it mean you don't even have to be on the wait list?
It requires that you have a priority preference on the wait list. So you must be on the wait list today, and you will have a rank preference on the wait list.
So I have to be on the wait list first, and then if I was one of these categories, I would move up the wait list.
Correct.
But if I wasn't on it at all, I wouldn't get there, right?
You must be correct. So you must be on the wait list to obtain the priority preference.
Thank you.
And can you just explain a little more about how we go about identifying the groups to which we give preferences?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I can answer that question, Commissioner. So it depends on the preference. So in what we're presenting today for the homeless preference, we're working with the city. And the city has a process where it vets individuals in terms of determining their homelessness and has them on that list. So we're using that as a reference point. For veterans, we use the VA. So it depends on the preference. We use subject matter experts to help us with that.
Okay, thank you. I have another question with respect to the smoke-free policy. How does that work with respect to a patient who has medicinal marijuana?
So the federal government doesn't recognize medicinal marijuana, so that would be prohibited in all federal housing, federally funded housing.
Okay.
I have a question. I can't wait till this smoke-free take effect to see how it will be enforced. And it's gonna be hard to enforce. If you can't enforce poor housekeeping, you sure can't enforce smoke-free housing. And that's gonna be a challenge. So the only way I can see this is another way to hire another group to come in and do some work for us that's not gonna work. So with this smoke-free policy, I can see the authority throwing good money out the bad. We're gonna hire a couple agencies that for to detox us from smoking, and they're gonna get paid to do a job, but yet still we're gonna continue to smoke. So that's something we need to look at and examine before we get to that point. We have, what, 6 months?
Yes.
And before you can, like I said, before you can force smoke-free, you gotta address the poor housekeeping issues first. One can't come before the other. So that's gonna be another problem for the authority. And I'm gonna be the first one to fight it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Washington. It's a good point. And I see that there's a procedure here laid out, a 6-step process of providing warnings and taking other measures. Can you just talk about that for a second?
Sure. So it is not our intent to evict individuals if they are not complying by this policy. We actually desire to work with our residents. So essentially, for those residents who have an interest in cessation, we will be working on a cessation program with them. So we have a tiered system by which we would put this policy in place. So it's not that if you're caught smoking the first time, we're moving toward an eviction. We're actually using a tiered system to work in collaboration with our residents with this policy.
Thank you.
Also, one more, the wait list. Although we have folks on wait lists and people from disasters and servicemen, we still have a group of residents on the wait list that's living in horrible conditions. I hope they don't be pushed to the back of the list. I mean, some of them just, I wouldn't even pay a dog to live there. Their places are so bad. They're due to neglect on their scatter site housing. You can see daylight through the walls. The roofs is caving in, and they're just so full of asbestos and everything else. So I hope they don't get pushed to the by the wayside.
Right, Commissioner, our priority is to our residents who are not in a safe or decent housing to always work to transfer or make those improvements first.
I'll hold you to it.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Markowski?
One other thing, I just wanted to have you state clearly, these ACOP rules, who do they apply to? Is this, we have public housing that we own, there's the mixed income housing that's owned by others, there's privately owned housing where we have project-based Section 8, there's Section 8 certificate holders. Which of those things are affected by the ACOP here?
So this only applies to public housing residents.
Okay. And the buildings that we own?
Right.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
Partially mixed income, right?
Yeah, those are units we own. So it's any unit that we own as the CHA. So that would be funded through Section 9 public housing.
All right, are there any more comments from the commissioners?
I just want to make sure that with the smoke-free thing that we were talking about, is saying 25 feet from the housing unit itself, that we have good signage out there for our residents. And not only, maybe we need to walk through that with them so they can see how far of where the signage is, so that they'll know where they can begin to smoke. And
Ye-
that, you know.
Yes, Commissioner, that's very important. We'll definitely incorporate that into our rollout plan this year.
If I live in Allgale, 25 feet north, east, south, or west would be in front of my neighbor's door, so how do you handle that?
So again, that is one of the challenges with this HUD rulemaking. This is not a rule made by the CHA. The city's ordinance is less than 25 feet, so that is going to be one of our challenges. But to Commissioner Harris's point, we're definitely going to have to clearly show people where it's permissible to smoke and where it's not, so there's no confusion.
No, but I smoke. I can't wait to leave and get a cigarette. But if I'm in Allgale or somewhere, Dearborn, somewhere like that, if you say 25 feet, I'm going 25 feet from my door. I don't care if it is in front of my neighbor's door.
So
That's going to be a challenge.
Yes, it's definitely a challenge, Commissioner. We'll have to, it won't be just from where you live, it'll be from any of our buildings. Similar to the City of Chicago ordinance, it has a 15-foot requirement. That isn't just 15 feet from the door you are coming out of, but 15 feet from any entrance. So we will have to, again, heed Commissioner Harris's guidance and make sure we clearly demarcate those areas.
I think all the smokers will come out and protest. We all come out at one time and smoke. And see what happens.
Yeah.
Have a smoke out.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Washington.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Any more comments from the commissioners?
I just wanted to make the comment about when we do put a pole after 25 feet, then the homeowners after the 25 feet, you know they're going to be complaining about residents smoking on their property. So that's something else to consider.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think it's come out clear here that the lines for where you can smoke should be clearly demarcated and communicated to everyone, all the residents.
Smoking.
If there are no more comments
I
from the...
have one more. Just
Yeah, go
on
ahead.
this whole smoking thing. I mean, everybody thinks it's better not to smoke, but then there's the question of how to implement this and how to be reasonable. And what you guys have said is that this wasn't our idea. That this is HUD rules, and we're coming into compliance with HUD rules. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And have we had these just kinds of discussions with HUD? Like, where's 25 feet? You know, for instance, in a development that has many different buildings in it. Or what about this idea of we're going to push them in front of the neighbor's house? You know, how about that?
Yeah, so we had these discussions with HUD at many times. This rule was made very quickly by HUD and not with as much input, and it's a national rule. So obviously 25 feet in a rural community isn't very hard to accomplish, but in an urban environment, that is one of the things we expressed to them. Unfortunately, the rule was made quickly without taking a lot of input.
All right, well, thank you. If there are no more comments for item number 5, I have no cards from the public for this item. May I have a motion to approve item number 5?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays, recusals, or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries and the resolution for item number 5 is approved. And the last item on today's agenda is item number 6, which is an authorization to execute an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement not to exceed $140,000 for consulting services with the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for planning for the management of the Regional Housing Initiative.
Thank you, Commissioners. So before you today is, for your approval, is to continue the CHA's support of the Regional Housing Initiative. The Regional Housing Initiative allows applicants on CHA's waitlist to gain mobility to various communities in the Chicagoland area. It's comprised of the Chicago Housing Authority and 10 other regional housing authorities, and we believe this continues to create more opportunities for our applicants to move to other job centers and other communities in the broader Chicagoland area.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Well, can you just explain at a high level the type of collaboration or consultation services that they provide?
So they provide several things. One is they help bring in new developments or new projects to be interested in receiving project-based vouchers. Some may be from the CHA, some may be from the other 10 housing authorities. And so they help coordinate that. And they also help coordinate the fact that there are 11 different housing authorities, all with different scale and size, and help make sure that these deals move through smoothly and that they're also able to manage the wait list for those deals once they close.
Great, thank you.
I have a
Question.
quick question for you, Derek. Based on what we discussed in our briefing, it seemed to me as though this is much less benefit coming in than there is going out. So this is going to be reviewed annually, if I remember correctly?
Yes.
Because it's not just the $140,000, it's just the time and the effort that you guys have to put forth. And I think what you told me is that there's a measurable effect. We can actually count the units, correct?
Correct.
So this will come before the board again next year if you decide that you want to do this?
Yeah, so this is only a one-year renewal. If we were going to extend our participation, we would have to bring this back before the board.
I trust that I trust in you that you'll analyze it correctly, and if it's not to our benefit at all or enough, that you won't be bringing it back. So we can have that discussions throughout the year. Thanks, Derek.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Question. Since we do have all these properties here and there and everywhere else, all these site-based, Section 8 acquisition, what have you, I'm asking that someone go out and just do a survey of all our properties that we currently have site-based, Section 8 acquisition. Because a lot of times we go through the motions, acquire this property to someone else, and nobody's mind the store. Nobody ever goes back, pay attention, make sure they're doing what they say they should be doing. And lately, a lot of calls have been coming in through the Central Advisory Council office about land that's the housing that CHA forgot all about. I need someone to go meet with the residents, not the management. They're gonna tell you what they want you to know. We have too much going on out there, and nobody can tell you where all this land, all these units is at. No one.
Okay, Commissioner. We'll definitely work better to make sure we're responsive to all our residents.
You know, but this about my fourth or fifth times asking this question, and every time we get a call, ask the same question. So can I get a drop dead date when this is gonna be done?
Sure. I'll follow up with you and give you a schedule when we'll be visiting all of our project-based vouchers sites related to this.
Okay? I'll wait for the call.
All right, thank you. If there are no other comments from the commissioners, and I have no cards from the public for this item, may I have the motion to approve item number 6?
Oh, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays, recusals, or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries and the resolution for item number 6 is approved.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. If there's no more business to come before the Real Estate Operations Development Committee, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, you were called.
I called your name a few times and you weren't here.
Yes, we did.
I called you on item 3.
Item 3?
Yes.
Yes.
You weren't here when we
then.
talked
You
about
weren't
item
here
number 3.
earlier.
I promise.
You want it?
We got to the end of the item. I read your name 3 times. I saw you here earlier, but you weren't here when we did item number 3.
I don't get a chance to comment on this?
How's this work? I mean, in the board meeting, you can comment.
In general.
And that's coming up just right after this. All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, recusals, or abstentions? We're adjourned.
Good morning to you all, and Happy New Year's. My name is John Hooker, Chairman of CHA Board of Commissioners. At this time, I would like to call the January 16, 2018 board meeting to order. The board secretary will take the roll, please.
Commissioner Brewer,
Here.
Commissioner Chico,
Here.
Commissioner Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Hart, Commissioner
Here.
Commissioner Montes?
Here.
Commissioner Washington?
Here.
Commissioner Hooker?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Lee. As a reminder to the public, please register at the sign-in desk if you need to address the board during public participation. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to address the board. After 5 minutes have expired, the secretary will not accept any more cards. As set forth in our public participation rules, courteous, respectful, and civil behavior is expected from all speakers and all persons attending the board committee meetings. Individuals who are disruptive will be given a warning and will, if necessary, be removed from the meeting. If any individual is removed from the meeting as a result of disruptive behavior, the individual may forfeit his or her right to re-enter to future board meetings. And lastly, please turn off or silence your cell phone while the meeting is in session. We will now have our centering thoughts by Commissioner Mildred Harris. Commissioner?
Well, good morning to everyone. Isn't this a beautiful morning?
Good morning to you, Commissioner.
Oh, okay. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about words. And I like to say that we literally live in a world where the difference between happiness and hopelessness can hang on a word. When we speak positively and supportively to others, the way they talk to themselves becomes positive and supportive. We have been given an amazing power in the words we speak both to ourselves and to others. Our words can inspire us to greatness or condemn us to worthlessness. Our words can make a spirit soar or they can break a fragile heart. Our words can build up or they can tear down. Ironically, there doesn't seem to be much in between. But I'm sharing to you today, become a catalyst for positive change in the world and watch your words. The words you use when you talk to yourself and the words you use when you talk to others. Commit yourself to being a source of strength and inspiration for both yourself and others. And I would just like to say that here at CHA we have some core values, and one of our core values is that of transparency. And it reads, we will commit to open, honest, and effective communication with our words, with our internal and external customers and partners. So you see, words are important. And at this time, I'd like you to do something with me. I'd like you to look at the person sitting next to you or behind you or in front of you and say to that person, you are special.
You are special. You are special.
Yes, you are. We are special. And especially here at CHA. Have a wonderful year, and let us watch our words in 2018. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Commissioner Harris. Moving to our committee reports and voting on resolutions. The first committee report will be presented by Commissioner Makowski, Chairman of the Finance and Audit Committee. Jack.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Audit Committee held its regular meeting today here at the CHA corporate offices. I chaired the meeting, and the following committee members were present as well: Commissioners Brewer and Matos. Present but not counted for the quorum were Chairman Hooker, Commissioners Chico and Washington. The Finance and Audit Committee members voted and recommend for approval. They discussed, voted, and recommend for approval the following items. Item number 1, authorization to approve the adoption of the Chicago Housing Authority Retirement Plan and Trust as amended and restated effective September 21, 2017. Item number 2, authorization to approve participation agreement allowing Chicago Metropolitan Housing Development Corporation's participation for 2018 as a participating employer in the Chicago Housing Authority Employees Retirement Plan. I will note for the record that I recused myself on item number 2. Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the Finance and Audit Committee, I would like to present an omnibus motion for the approval of items number 1 and number 2.
Thank you, Commissioner Murkowski. We have an omnibus motion on the floor presented by Commissioner Murkowski for approval of item number 1 and number 2. Is there a second, please?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed votes, abstentions, or recusals?
I would just like to restate my recusal on number 2.
Madam Secretary, let the record reflect that Commissioner Murkowski has abstained from voting on item number 2, and by majority vote, the item pass. 1 and 2. Now we'll go into the Real Estate Development Committee report, which will be presented by Committee Chair Brewer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Real Estate Operations Development Committee held its monthly meeting earlier today. I chaired the meeting, and the following committee members were present as well: Commissioners Harris, Markowski, and Washington. Although Chairman Hooker and Commissioners Chico and Matos were also present, they were not counted toward the quorum since they're not members of the committee. Committee members then discussed, voted, and recommend for approval the following items. Item number 3, recommendation to approve the following development teams for the mixed finance housing or mixed-use development delivery through the pre-qualified team approach: Heartland Housing, Metropolitan Housing Development Corporation, Preservation of Affordable Housing, the Community Builders, the Habitat Company, Turnstone Development Corporation, Brinshaw Development Full Circle Communities, Holston Real Estate Development Corporation, L&M Development Partners, Penrose Hunt Properties, and the National Housing Partnership Foundation. Item number 4, authorization to submit rental assistance demonstration financing plans to HUD and enter into 11 RAD conversion commitments with HUD for the following properties: Maria Diaz Martinez Apartments, Margaret Day Blake Apartments, Flannery, Armour Square, Mary Jane Richardson Apartments, Adele Brown Bofield Apartments, Vivian Harsh Apartments, Judge Green Apartments, Mahalia Jackson Apartments, Ella Flagg Apartments, and Ada McKinley Apartments. Item number 5, authorization to approve the fiscal year 2018 admission and continued occupancy policy. And item number 6, authorization to execute an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement not to exceed $140,000 for consulting services with the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning for the management of the Regional Housing Initiative. On behalf of the Real Estate Operations Development Committee, I would like to present an omnibus motion for approval of items 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Oh. We have an omnibus motion presented by Commissioner Brewer for approval of item number 3, 4, 5, and 6. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed votes, abstentions, or recusals? Hearing none, item 3 through 6 are hereby approved. Thank you for your report, Commissioner Brewer. The next matter to come before the board for consideration is item number 6A, approval of amendments to the rule of the Board of Commissioners of CHA. For speakers who have signed up to comment on item 6A, we will hear your comments during public participation, and will vote on item 6A at the conclusion of public participation. Item 6A will now be presented by James Bebley, Chief Legal Officer. James?
Mr. Chairman, item 6A is an amendment to the rules of the Board of Commissioners of Chicago Housing Authority. As you are aware, the board consolidated its rules in September of 2016 to include the rules of public participation. Today's amendment is designed to achieve 2 goals. One, changes the format of public participation so that speakers are now permitted to address the board or a committee one time during a committee or a board meeting. The second change is to clarify that speakers are required to complete a speaker's card for each occasion on which they address the board. There are no further changes to the rules.
Thank you, James. Commissioners, you have any questions for, oh, sorry, Commissioner
No,
Washington have a question.
I briefed on this, but the number one ditto. Speakers are limited to one opportunity to address the board per meeting, one per subject item, not per meeting.
Per meeting. Currently, speakers are permitted to address the board one time for each item. Going forward, it would be one time per meeting, and during that one occasion, they could address any or all of the items.
Each time they come up. I still don't get it.
So currently, you have speakers to address the board after each presentation for a particular item. In the future, for example, if you have 3 items on the agenda, all 3 items would be presented by staff and discussed by the commissioners after that.
Oh, per subject, per committee.
Correct.
Okay.
So
Per
with the
committee.
real estate committee, if there are 3 items, there would be 3 presentations, 3 opportunities for commissioners to discuss it, and then once that is done, public participation would occur, and speakers would be permitted to address any one or all of the items prior to the board or the committee taking a vote.
I was gonna say per committee.
Per
It
committee.
say per board, it wouldn't say per board meeting.
Per committee or board meeting.
It didn't say committee up here.
So each
I just don't get it. It says speakers are limited to one opportunity to address the board per meeting. It should be per committee.
each committee is a separate meeting. So if you come, you can address the audit committee, the real estate committee, and the tenant committee. You can also address the board. That does not change.
Okay, so I just put in my head per committee so I'll know.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep it simple.
Commissioner Makowski?
And, Mr. Bebley, and you said the votes will be taken after the testimony, correct?
Correct.
And just to make sure I understand, because I'm looking at the language here now, there's one opportunity to address the comments that take place in committee. And then, is that, I guess if I come to a meeting and I want to make a comment, can I talk at a committee meeting and at the board meeting, or just at one of the two?
You can speak at both the committee meeting and the board meeting.
Got it, thank you.
Are there any additional questions for the?
But you know what? If I got, I'm still confused. If I got just 5, say for the tenant services, 5 items on the board, and I can speak on all 5 after they go through all 5 items, and you give me 2 minutes to speak on 5, I know I talk fast, but I don't talk that fast. 2 minutes to speak on all 5 items.
2 minutes is the amount of time that's currently allocated for speaking.
And 2 minutes, and I ain't trying to be difficult, but 2 minutes is the current time allocated, but now you give me 5 subject matters in 2 minutes. You like had 2 minutes for each subject matter, which would have been 10 minutes. So we need to do something about the minutes. You can't give me 5 items in 2 minutes. If we change that, we can change everything. We just have to be fair. People come out to the commission meeting here and speak.
That's up to you.
That's up to us, so we have to decide that. Now, but I know it's kind of difficult, but if I got 5 items, I got 2 minutes each, that's 10 minutes. Now I got 5 items, you give me 2 minutes, that means something gonna get left out. So we gonna give them, if we gonna change it, then we gotta give them 3 more minutes.
So you can't give everybody 10 minutes, though.
Not if it's going the way it's going now, everybody get 10 minutes, 5 items, 2 minutes each, that's 10 minutes. Now I got 5 items, only got 2 minutes to speak on 5 items. At the end, think about it. That's not fair to the folks that catch their bus, spend their coffee and come down here. That's not fair to me.
Commissioner Washington.
I wouldn't like it.
Commissioner Washington, so noted. I understand your position here. I looked into this. We looked into this item, and a majority of the time, items that were addressed, or the items that were presented, were not even addressed during comment period. So, number one, I understand where you are, and I understand your comment and your position. But I would maintain that we should move forward, and if at some point this does not appear to be enough, we can come back and address it again. But we're taking a stab at making it more user-friendly and moving forward.
Well, could you say that a little louder so it makes sure it's recorded right, just in case?
At some time, the resolution that's presented is presented to the board, and I would like to take a vote on it as is, and if at some point in time that this appears not to be workable, we can come back and work on changing that going forward. But at this point, we're addressing it, the resolution, to move forward. Okay?
I'll test it, but it's not gonna work.
All right,
If I was
and
on the other side
I'm here
of the
with
table,
you.
I know it wouldn't work.
I'm here with you, and I'm here for you. If at some point in time, we as a board, full board, decide that this is not workable, then we're Markowski.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask you and Mr. Bebley, I would guess even if you put this in place, the 2-minute restriction, if in fact somebody's testifying on 3 items and they simply don't have enough time to put them all in 2 minutes, doesn't the chair have the prerogative to
Yes.
extend it?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Well, the chair has the prerogative to extend the meeting. You can also accept comments in writing.
Yeah.
But that's the answer to your question, yes, we do.
Yeah.
And we will continue, as it being presented as a new rule, we will continue to show what I call CU, and that's compassion and understanding.
Okay.
We will continue to show compassion and understanding going forward.
Okay.
Mr.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask?
Yes.
Mr. Bebley, you'll also have an opportunity to address those items if you don't have enough time during committee, during the regular board meeting, so that's 4 minutes technically on that, if something's important enough to you, correct?
Correct.
But total there, right now we have a structure of 4 committees
Yes.
and board
No,
meetings.
no,
so
we have
Three.
3 committees and a board meeting, so that gives anyone who wants to speak a
Well,
total opportunity to
and
speak
the
for 8
service
minutes.
real estate.
If they wanted to speak on every committee and a board meeting, they could speak at
Yes.
8 minutes at every meeting, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
Thank you.
correct,
On the items.
Thank you.
on items, regarding the items.
No,
So,
we just got mixed.
if there are no further questions from commissioners, comments from registered speakers will be entertained during public participation.
Comments, Mark first, Paul first.
Pardon? A few announcements before we move into public participation section of our meeting. Responses to the November sign-in desk. The February committee board meetings are canceled. Let me repeat that. The February 20th committee and board meetings are canceled. Our next committee and board meetings are scheduled for Tuesday, March 20th, 2018, at 8:30 a.m. at the CHA corporate headquarters offices at 60 East Van Buren, 12th floor. We will now start our public participation. As a reminder to the speakers, we'll be given 2 minutes to address the board. As mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, for personal attacks and abusive language levied at commissioners and staff residents or individuals are not tolerated. Individuals who are disruptive during the meeting will be given a warning and will, if necessary, be removed from the meeting. Responses to comments presented during public participation will be distributed at the next board meeting. Kim will let you know when your 30 seconds is remaining and when your time is up. If you have any written material for the board, please give the materials to our board secretary. Our first registered speaker is Paul, I know you had registered for the other. Did you register for this one also?
Yes, it is.
Paul? Okay, good. Got you. All right. Raphael Leon?
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, my name is Rafael Leon. I'm
Thank
the,
you.
I'm the Executive Director of CMHDC, Chicago Metropolitan Housing Development Corporation. I just want to offer, this is related to the participation of CMHDC in the pension program. Thank you for approving that. I also like to offer to every commissioner the opportunity to sit down with you and explain what we have done for CHA or we're willing to do for CHA. So I could do that individually or in groups of 2 or less. Otherwise, it will be subject to the Public Meeting Act, which I'm happy to do as well. But I also want to clarify that there is a reference to a participation agreement. We have not seen the terms of the participation agreement. I'm assuming that those are the same as they have been approved in the past. But for the record, we have not seen the current participation agreement.
Paul McKinley.
Yes, I'd like to talk about 2 subjects. One subject is that the union agreement was not signed in a timely manner, and we are asking that any other approval to do any other sites in the city of Chicago, that before they do anything, any of these developers do anything, that they have their signature on the union agreement. Now, first and foremost, we had a discussion with James, the legal expert, and he did not make sure that this happened. And because he did not make sure this happened, the union was allowed to work and non-union workers was not allowed to work. That means they've already violated the union agreement. By them violating the union agreement, and in the future sense, specifically on Taylor Street, which is the next project that's finna come up, we would like to make sure that this so-called lawyer, that he get on top of this right now, which his name is not on none of it. He had we had a conversation with him concerning this agreement. Now that's that. You know what I'm saying? The other thing is, I'll persuade. I don't know how the mix-up came in. Item 3 has certain companies that y'all are bringing in to do development and mixed use. A couple of these are, in particular, are very hostile to Section 3 and hostile to residents as far as putting them to work. And Brenshaw and Michaels is those companies. Brenshaw, Michaels, Brenshaw got the site on 45th Street. They're very hostile as far as sitting down, doing anything with Section 3. Brenshaw has a site in Cabrini Greens. They're very hostile. Brenshaw had the site in Ogden Courts, and they made sure that they didn't put no Section 3 workers together, and they played deals with the alderman. Now, I'm telling y'all right now, Brenshaw is not going to play the same game out south and up north that they've been playing.
Mr.
That's the
McKinley,
point
your
I'm
time
trying
is
to make
up.
with you right now. Now, that was the original reason why I was in it. I don't understand how I was sitting in this meeting. I did not hear it, and I was right out there, and I still didn't hear it. I don't understand that, why I couldn't testify concerning this here. But I'm letting you know right now, Brenshaw ain't coming in here trying to hustle CHA. I'm going to file complaints. I'm going to protest their site. And they've already hired a company that says that they don't even have a Section 3 plan. They've already said they don't have no Section 3 plan. So and then another problem that I have is that when you pick these companies, they go get black companies to say that we are going to work with the black companies like these other companies. Those black companies that they go get, they don't have to go get those black companies. We already have in the JOC program Tier 5 and Tier 6 companies that can come in and represent Section 3 companies and make sure things can go smooth. This is not here, I'm not here to tear down or attack anybody on it, but I am here to focus in on you, to make sure that you give that agreement to all these companies.
Let's not be too personal.
And I'm finna sit down, and I would like for Jose to sit in his proper seat. He don't belong over there. He needs to sit right over there in this place. That's what I'm saying. He ain't got no business sitting right there.
Thank
That's
you.
his seat right there.
Thanks, Paul.
I'm still talking now. I ain't got nothing to say. No business there.
Jose, okay, Mr. Chairman. Jose's okay. If you say he's okay, he's okay.
Thank you, Paul. Lindsey Graves.
For the record, Lindsey Graves, President of Vivian Carter Apartments. I'd like to first start off with the subject matter concerning 24 of the Federal Rules, Code of the Federal Rules, 964.150, Funding Tenant Participation, Section B, which has language in there that clearly stipulates that officers such as I, they have been duly elected by law as codified into this section, that we are to be paid stipends. There's no differentiation between presidents at the various buildings. I would ask that you comply with this. There's a history to this because previous presidents years ago were paid stipends. Check the record. Moving forward to the next thing. Also, in the city, as we've spoken earlier about people who are desperately in need of housing and given preferences, there are people also that are seeking housing from deplorable conditions. And as a result, in my building, we're having a lot of people that have mental issues, but yet there's no services that are provided. And therefore, it's changed the culture of the building. I ask for a moratorium that you comply with the federal scattered heights housing rules and regulations. Thirdly, with the smoking, you need to grandfather it in simply because an addiction is smoking and it causes physiological harm to a body from withdrawal. Who pays the medical bill? Moving forward down, antennas for the building. You need to have antennas for the building because we are trapped in a violation of the Clayton Act, 1914, in reference to non-competitive agreement with the city with the cable companies.
Mr. Graves, you have 30 seconds.
Therefore, with this non-competitive agreement with the cable companies, we are forced to pay $80 a month for service that should be far less. And this is, in fact, a violation of the Clayton Act. Moving forward, protection from the microwave radiation of the towers that have been placed upon the city. There has not been any research or any kind of commitment or any kind of review on how to protect us from the radiation from these buildings. Also, the implementation of the new heating systems that they're putting in.
Mr. Graves, your time is up.
Yes, I just want to complete it. I'm almost through, please. The heating in the buildings, I would say that you first should put in proper windows to seal the buildings up. Furthermore, consult with the people. We have no knowledge of the type of heating units they are. I understand they're hot air, dry. People older with respiratory issues are going to be subject to some harm. If you would just, and basically, that's it. You know, as far as, you know, I'm just saying. Also, I'll close out on one thing recently that was stated here. Please, the scattered heights housing is very important to the saving of our city. We need the diversity. Right now, we lost 11% of your black population. That's not happenstance. That's by design. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Say it again for me.
Barbara Roos.
Barbara Roos.
Yes. Good morning.
Thank you. Okay, they added that other piece to it. Okay.
I think it was for pronunciation.
Please.
Following up on what Commissioner Harris mentioned regarding transparency, and then based on a past meeting, information was provided to you from a past council participant, HCV housing participant council member, saying that the NHRA was no longer in existence, and in fact that's not correct. They still operate. They're still seeking remedies to see if CHA can then also fund them. And I wanted to make that clear because within the past 30 days I received an email from Valeria Harris, who is their secretary. So they're looking to see if they can still supplant the existing participant group. And I know that currently CHA already has selected members for their participant council. So I just wanted to make sure that that information was out there, because otherwise you've been given the incorrect information.
Okay, all right. Thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you. Nancy Currion?
Hi, Board. My name is Nancy Curran, and I am an owner participant in the program. And I am treated with such disrespect by the CHA. It is absolutely horrible. I have beautiful apartments on the north side. A lot of them are in opportunity areas, and I pretty much think the CHA is trying to push me out of the program. I worked with Karen Humphreys, who is absolutely useless. The alderman called her in to have a meeting to talk about, how I'm being treated and what's going on with the units. And she was just useless. I went up to Katie Ludwig, who has not been helpful. We're now in a standoff over $75, if the CHAs owes me $75 or not. And I even went to the HUD, and the HUD said that nationally the Chicago CHA is the worst run in the nation. And so I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. And so then, Mr. Hooker, I don't know if you remember this or not, but HUD gave me your email and said to present my case to you. And you probably don't remember it, or maybe your secretary answered, but you told me that you checked with everybody at CHA and they're great and I'm not. And that was it. And I should have brought the email. And what I just would suggest, CPS, I have a special needs child, so sometimes I have problems with the schools, and you make it up the ranks, and they have office hours for board members.
Ms. Coran, you have 30 seconds.
Thanks. They have office hours. You just call, you make an appointment with the secretary, you're going up, you've reached this one, this one, this one, this one, and maybe we can have a one-on-one or a two-on-one, and just you have, at 3 o'clock from 4 on Tuesdays, you have office hours, so you can talk to people. Because right now, I'm just going to have to leave the program if I have to fight with Katie about $75. I have another tenant that owes me $4,000. The CHA isn't doing anything about it. It's a mess. So I would just really, have a one-on-one with people.
Ms. Coran, your time is up.
Thank you, just 1 second. And just have one-on-one with people, even owners or everybody, just to find, because your employees aren't just doing a very good job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we will follow up on this. Those particular terms and words that you use, I don't probably use them, but that's okay. We'll look into this. I guarantee you that.
And then for owners, how about a little CU?
I will look into it.
Thank you.
I promise you that. Odessa Goodwin.
Good morning to all of you.
Good morning to you.
My name is Odessa Goodwin. I'm from Lincoln Perry Apartment. First, I'd like to ask a question. Did any of the employee call you all about the situation we had at Lincoln Perry? If not, the resident was cold for a week and a half. They begged the employees to turn the heat up. They would not turn the heat up. This is why the pipes burst. And we had a very bad situation there. Everybody that worked in there should be fired. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'll look at that. Mark Carter?
Good morning, good morning. I would like to first say that your attorney is very insubordinate, and I think you need to get a new attorney, because these issues we're dealing with concerning the unions and the community going to work. The question is, how is it that union members are able to go to work and the people of HUD, CHA, aren't allowed to go to work? But I'm going to set that to the side today, because there's a very important issue that has been brought to our attention in our group and that we've started, called the Community Inspectors, where we've been going in these CHA units, ones that are occupied, and more so those that are unoccupied. We have a lot of pictures where you all, every 30 days, are reporting to HUD saying that these units are under construction, you're getting them ready, and you're receiving the fundings, but these units are not being rehabbed. They're not under construction. So someone down here is looking the other way, while these property managers, and I also want to put this on the resident leadership as well, because everybody's got to be in this together. Everybody has got to be in this together. And so what we're going to do as community people, see, y'all can't evict us because we don't live in public housing. So there's no evicting us. And these people have sent us
Mr. Carter,
numerous
you have 30 seconds.
pictures after pictures where they're being disrespected. They can't get refrigerators, stoves, just simple stuff that you all are getting money from the federal government saying that you're replacing. And so we're going to help the residents of Chicago Housing Authority raise hell with y'all. We're going to effectively help them get some of y'all fired, sent to jail. And that's why I'm so glad that we have this great president in office, because he does something about things like this.
Mr. Carter, your time is up.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Tamika Holtz. Tamika Holtz.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Always a pleasure. Okay, let's talk about developments and mixed income and these new projects you got coming down the pipeline. So I always sit, when I'm in a room with these meetings, I always sit and I watch the process. We have to stop with the optics, because that's all they are, is optics. You put these people in place, you use the same developers. Now you have this new process, you have a PLA, but I don't see that process working on this project, the library on Taylor Street. If I have to tell you find out how many apprentices we can get for carpentry, painting, and plumbing and all this, where's your process about this PLA that you enacted without putting the plans in place? After 2 months, they still talking about 2 apprentices for the carpenters union and 2 apprentices for the painters union. And me and Mary Baggett sitting at the table, that's not enough. You have about 13 more different trades. When are you going to contact and reach out to them? So where is this group of, where is this, it was supposed to be a working group put together, right? Yeah. After the PA, what's going on? Is that even transparent? I mean, you got projects that can be hiring people and getting them in works, but what's going on? Because when you're sitting at these tables, these type of conversations is not happening. And they think they're going to constantly use the same Section 3 contractors that they have developed themselves and constantly be shipping them around everywhere they go. This is not how they go. You're going to pretty much work new companies. You're going to hire new people. You're going to get everybody into the mix. But the process is not happening. And come on now, the ones that you know that can speak fluently on subject matters, you don't want us in the room, because you know we're not going for the optics. We want some actual, tangible, measurable movement and progress.
Ms. Holt, your time is up.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Holt. Mr. Dennis Hood, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to address the young lady that talked about Lincoln Perry. You know, I had a project there, and it seems like the person that you're putting in place is there to sabotage. I've already sent you a video, said that we had some pipes busted, found out it wasn't us. My job has been shut down 4 or 5 times. That's effort, money, and time. You know, this is a movement that I fought for, and people like Tamika Holt, Paul McKinley, Mark Carter, Omar Sharif. It was a struggle. People wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for our fight all these years. And they're setting me up for failure, you understand? And I do not like it. Kimberly Yarbrough, that's her name, and she is actually sabotaging work. Now they tell me she's not going nowhere. Well, that's fine. I'm gonna go. But if you're gonna say she's not going nowhere, that means she could be there to sabotage other contractors. I'm a resident-owned business. I've been in business since 2010. I know my work. I value my work. I do good work. But when you're gonna set somebody in place to run something who's not even capable, then there's a problem. If you're gonna have somebody in place that's gonna constantly abuse the system, no phone calls, materials late, you understand?
Mr. Hud, you have 30
I'm
seconds.
losing, you understand? You need to look into the situation. Like I said before, I sent the video to prove the sabotage. Somebody got to look into that because it's going to be a problem. You understand? She's actually sabotaged my job, and I'm losing money. I'm losing people. You understand? How can I be successful when you're not helping me? That's my point. Y'all need to look into this because it's a very, very serious problem.
Thank you, and we will.
Thank you.
Omar Sharif.
Good morning, Board. First of all, let me just say that pleasure to be before you this morning. It's some things that I know that you guys are doing well, and that's dealing with your field office, which is good for our community and good for the small contractors that you have in the Section 3 program as well as your job. But there are some things that impediments that is hurting a lot of these contractors that you're dealing with. I don't know if you put them into the program too fast or you just did not do enough preparation. And some of them is dealing with the banking, some is dealing with the management of all these projects you got going on, some is dealing with your internal employees that are not sensitive to quite a few of these contractors that's out there and using language like, that's what's wrong with you people, you're messing up these jobs and these type of things. These are the type of reports I get back and forth as of last week. And so I'm asking that this board be a little more sensitive and let's put together a transparent program. Let me also say in the next 50 minutes what Paul was saying about Section 3 job program on Tier 4, 5, and 6. Him and I have been meeting with several of the GCs and developers, right? Every time we meet with them, they have somebody already at the top of the food chain that's not Section 3, that's not job. And so what he's saying is
Mr.
that we
Sharif,
got
you
to
have 30
put.
seconds.
Thank you. What he's saying is that we need to put together a program so that you can elevate your 4, 5, and 6 tier people so that when these developers come into the table, they already have a Section 3 partner at the top, because in order for these individuals to develop and you see them at their best, you got to make those majority guys help them walk so that they can run. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Prairie, Brenda Prairie.
I hope you're having a happy new year, everybody, because I started mine very badly because of CHA. I started my year with broken pipes and steam everywhere. Steam enough to close fire doors on all the floors. Then it flooded, and we couldn't use the elevators for a time. So we were confined to our apartments that were cold. So yes, we had to turn on stoves. Then they tell us they got it fixed. Okay. They got it fixed approximately 15 hours later. 15 hours of cold with a stove in the daytime. No one offered us a cup of coffee or warm room to go to. Nothing at all. After those 15 hours, we got heat for 4 hours. Another pipe broke. This time it was raining in the elevators. Flooded the elevators, so they couldn't be used. Water was everywhere. The whole lobby, ceiling tiles were everywhere, falling down from the water. Steam all throughout the building. Except it wasn't heat. The response was not
Ms.
even
Perry,
an offer.
30 seconds.
Not even an offer of a heater. Nothing. We got heat again for 2 days. Another failure. Fine, 2 more days we get heat and then another failure. 5 different failures in the same week. And that is unacceptable. And you talk about transparency, but you want to change the rules so you don't even have to listen on
Ms. Perry,
the
your
8
time is
meetings
up.
that you have every year. During those 8 meetings, you don't even want to hear us for each and everything. That is unfair, and that 2-minute thing is ridiculous. You hardly hear us now, let alone cutting the time down. That is not right. And yes, you need to give the residents of Lincoln Perry some subsidy for all of their displacement for them 5 days, at least $25 per incident. And this is what the building council is asking for on behalf of those residents. And yes, you need to deal with it, because under the original contract, we were supposed to be, if we are 8 hours or more outplaced due to the management or construction, we're supposed to be reimbursed. And that's what I raised to you now. And yes, I know I've gone over 2 minutes, but I think it's necessary for me to say, because enough is enough. This is the 7th year. This is 2018. 7th year that we've been under this type of pressure and process and getting nowhere. We still don't have a sprinkler system that's been approved.
All right. Thank you. Aretha, hold on. Who else? Who did that? Who did that? All right, right. Let me remind you all. We're not going to continue to take personal attacks at board members. They didn't sign up for this. We will work as a complete board to address all the concerns and issues that we hear. And I'm specifically, you just can't sit here and point at the lawyer and do that. That's a personal attack. You can't just go and reach out and say, this is you and so and so on. You talk to the whole board, we're okay with that. We're not going to accept personal attacks to any individual board member. We're going to start 2018 out that way also. We're going to start 2018 by looking at your issues as we have done. We will continue to do what we do, but you are going to have to do what you're supposed to do and not address individually and assert efforts to individual members, because everybody here volunteered to help out, and they're on this board for that purpose alone. I will not have to go through that in 18. We read off early what we mean when we say if you're disruptive and all of that good stuff. So now I'm going to tell you what else I'm going to do. I'm going to recess the meetings, and I'll ask individuals to leave if that occurs again. We're all human. We're all here to help one another, and we must all continue to be respectful of each other at all times. And I mean that.
May I say one thing?
No. Thank you. We've heard you. I appreciate it, but no. The next speaker is the next speaker is Aretha Goldston.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning, Ms. Goldston.
First, I would like to say I appreciate the fact that we have a forum like this, and I appreciate your volunteer service as a board. I only have one question, and that question is, I would like to know, first of all, I am a resident at 1633 West Madison, which is the Patrick Sullivan apartment building. My question to you today is, just one, who authorized over 400 tenants to be without heat in the entire month of November, in the entire month of December, through Thanksgiving, through up into Christmas? Not only did they authorize it, this is what the tenants were told. I have 28 of these in this folder, not written by me or a tenant, but by management. And it says this, beginning at 8 a.m. sharp. Please plan to be
out of your apartment for the entire day until 4 p.m. 28 of these over a 2-month period. In the month of November, someone decided that we needed a new heating system, and they would do it in November. The coldest months of the year in
You have 30
Chicago
seconds.
is November, December, and January. But they elected to turn the heat off and leave it off. They had meetings prior to. At the meetings prior to, they said it would take a week to 2 weeks to get the furnaces in. I pulled the engineer off to the side and I said, ma'am, it's 400 units, not gonna happen. Need to rethink this. But I was told, we do this every day. This is what we do for a living. You have not factored in something called unforeseen circumstances. That is not gonna happen.
Your time is up.
My question is, who authorized that?
Like all the questions that we receive from members and from residents, we generally take those questions and get back to you by before the next meeting. But we will look into this today, and someone will
Please do.
get back to you.
It's a senior and
Okay.
disabled building.
All right, but normally we start off the meeting by making sure that all questions that were asked in this meeting will be presented at the next meeting. But I'm telling you, we will look into this issue today.
And I'm telling you, thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Now, since that was the last registered speaker, I would like to thank you for your comments, your recommendations, as well as your concerns. We will distribute the responses to your comments at the next board meeting, which is March 2018 meeting. Commissioners will now take a vote on item 6A, approval of amendment to the rules of the Board of Commissioners of CHA. If there's no further questions or comment from commissioners regarding that, may I have a motion to approve item 6A?
So moved with the necessary implementation if.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed votes, recusals, or abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries and the resolution for 6A is approved. We will implement the updated public participation protocol at the March 20th, 2018 board meeting. We will now go into closed section. No, I'm sorry. I will now present a motion to go into closed session for approximately 30 minutes. In addition to item 7 listed on the agenda, and in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, the board may discuss matters under the following exceptions: personnel-related matters under C1 and C2, pending imminent and probable litigation under C11, and audit and review under C29. May I have a second for this?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed votes? We will now go into closed session and be back in approximately 30 minutes. Thank you all.
We're here at Roosevelt University today. We're really excited to be here The great thing about today is that the Youth Summit is entirely youth-led. The CHA Youth Council came together and they told us what they wanted this day to be about.
I think it's really fun. And I wish that I would have came last year if there was one year before, because, you know, like, I met a lot of new people.
We want them to leave today to know that they are actually change agents and they can create the change, that they now have the skill set to create that change. And what we hope is that our youth leave today with a more solutions-oriented approach to the issues in their city.
When I first started MCFA, I was like, you know, some kids are like really shy and stuff and they don't know how to speak out. So I hope today kids come like that and they walk out with like a whole different mindset and view the world a little bit differently. Like I want them to walk out knowing like, oh, I'm passionate about something and I want to change it and I want to speak about it.
Within the 2 years that I've been here, I've seen a lot of youth been able to step up and speak their voices. Because there's some youth who are scared, but if you give them a little push, they're able to come out and talk what they want to talk about.
I wasn't used to people asking me questions. I wasn't used to going to like resource events and stuff like that. I wasn't used to none of that. I was always at home. So when I got the opportunity to get out the house, I'm like, okay, sure, I'm gonna go do this. And then when I got out the house, I was kind of skeptical about it, but you know, I opened up to it. I said, okay, what could be the harm in doing this? And then I grew as a person.
are so excited to be celebrating our 10th anniversary Operation Warm event at CHA. We're giving out 9,000 coats today. We're expecting over 3,000 families from nearly every neighborhood in the city.
Families come back year after year and not only get a new coat for their kid who's outgrown the one from last year, but get connected with all these resources.
This is something that we got to continually support with our partnerships. Wells Fargo, Operation Warm, bring other partners to the table because it's just such a need.
This is great for the kids, getting a brand new coat that is just for them. It's a fun, festive atmosphere here. You've got, mascots from the Chicago Bulls and from some of our corporate partners. You got the music. It's just a fun, lively event that is for them.
I was really excited because when they had it in my size and my favorite colors, I was like super excited. I was like jumping up and down with excitement because I like these two colors and it's like comfy and warm.
I like it because I like the color and I tried it on, it's very comfortable and it seems like it could really protect.
year long, people say, we're going to have the senior gala this year, and they ask, when is it going to? It's not only an event on December 9th, it's just in everyone's spirit all year long.
This is my third time coming to the Senior Gala, and it's been fabulous. The togetherness, the photographers are fantastic in here. We were able to take our pictures last year and take them home, but the atmosphere was just so grand. It was beautiful. Entertainment, oh, yeah, take me back to when I was younger.
It is great to be able to have an organization like CHA to work with here in Chicago. Oak Street Health, we're really glad that we have such a great partner to promote senior welfare and to have people do well.
It makes the seniors feel appreciated, and it gives us something to do, something nice to do. And you get a chance to dress up and come out to a nice hotel. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Today we are finally here. A lot of people say we couldn't be here. We weren't going to be here. Breaking ground for the new Lathrop, bringing a new and better future for our residents and this community.
To be here on this historic day as we bring Lathrop Homes back to the to where it was intended to be, a place of beauty, of openness for the community, is very exciting, and for the residents who live here.
This is the culmination of 8 years of work. So many partners to get here, to begin work to start the redevelopment of the Lathrop Homes.
I'm just proud today to be part of this. I'm proud that we're going to have not only the affordable housing and the public housing on site. With your fight and all of you, we got an agreement with the CEO that the courts codified that all of the units that aren't returned here will return to the north side, not another part of the city.
We're rehabbing 16 of the historic residential buildings north of Diversey and adding 1 new residential building. And in total, that's 414 beautifully designed, and in the case of the existing buildings, fully rehabbed homes that we're creating.
How do you build a successful mixed income community? And I think, again, the residents are key. And to making sure that all of the residents are able to come together as Lathrop buildings get turned over so that we have a successful mixed income community.
Wizard of Oz, Dorothy had to say, and she kept saying, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And she said, I journeyed out to look for something that was already here, right here in my own backyard. All I had to do was look in my own backyard. And it was there. I want to thank you all for coming into our backyard and helping us find that dream.
Today we are finally here. A lot of people say we couldn't be here. We weren't going to be here. Breaking ground for the new Lathrop, bringing a new and better future for our residents and this community.
To be Homes back to where it was intended to be, a place of beauty, of openness for the community, is very exciting, and for the residents who live here.
So many partners to get here, to begin work to start the redevelopment of the Lathrop Homes.
I'm just proud today to be part of this and the public housing on site. With your fight and all, codified that all of the units that aren't returned here will return to the north side, not another part of the city.
We're rehabbing 16 of the historic residential buildings north of Diversey and adding one new residential building. And in total, to the existing buildings, fully rehabbed homes that we're creating.
How do you build a successful mixed income? Residents are key. And we will make sure, and we are committed to making sure that all of the residents are able to come together as Lathrop buildings get turned over so that we have a successful mixed income community.
But now I know what that old saying said on the Wizard of Oz. Dorothy had to say him. She kept saying, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And she said, I journeyed out to look for something that was already here, right here in my own backyard. All I had to do was look in my own backyard. And it was there. I want to thank you all for coming into our backyard and helping us find that dream.
One, two, three.
If you're going to college, make some noise. College students, make some noise.
We're proud to celebrate right here in the room with tomorrow's leaders who have worked hard and are now headed off to college.
I really do want every incoming freshman in this room to have the mentality that you are where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Through the generosity of an anonymous corporate donor, we are also providing each student today with a refurbished laptop. Yes!
Today we're here at the 9th Annual CHA Owners Symposium to provide information to our owners who work in the program with us so that they can serve Chicago better, so that we can serve Chicago better, so we can build stronger families, build stronger neighborhoods, and ultimately build a stronger city.
This event is amazing, and it's a lot that I don't know, and it's a lot that I'm learning from this event. I have about 5 or 6 pages of notes. You know, I'm going to go over everything on the property or maintain the property. Everything is here.
Having Deputy Mayor Zopp here, she brings a perspective that is crucial for our owners to really focus on, because it's not just a role in that community.
You can't have a strong neighborhood if people don't have quality housing options and the chance to have an affordable, clean, beautiful place to stay. You are all here because you're a critical part of making those options happen for us here at the City of Chicago.
It's been a great show because it's been well attended, and they've been asking questions about what we can do and how to make their properties better. I think it lets people get a lot of knowledge.
And we were overwhelmed with the attendance. There was not one chair, 2 chairs were only vacant. And 2 people told me they had been to the CHA Symposium last year, went to the seminar, saw the property tax assessment seminar, and came back this year for that. So that was, they're hungry for that information.
There's an opportunity that we can network, we can provide information, some new information. We want to make sure that everyone's on track about our new initiatives, our current initiatives, and how we can do our job better to serve our residents and serve our owners.
This summer, our youth not only learned in the classroom, but in the field at companies across the city of Chicago. Our summer youth programs are important because we focus on our academic enrichment. Our kids are in the classroom, so they're not experiencing any of the summer learning loss. It gives them an opportunity to continue with what they've learned during the school year. They're not missing the opportunity to learn more about fields such as, science, math.
I like it a lot, and it's like I'm learning, I'm having fun, I'm meeting new people, having friendship with the teachers.
So our young people had an awesome time traveling around the city where they were able to visit places like 1871, ComEd. They went to Wrigley Field where they visited the Cubs. They went to So our youth were able to go to the companies to have more of an inside look and to get a little more of the ins and outs, to experience what it is like real time and meet some of the people who. So this is a great opportunity for them because they not only get the classroom experience, but they can go out and really see what it is their careers are centered around. They get kind of real-time, one-on-one experience. They see the ins and outs of what it is they're interested in.
Those great opportunities and so forth, they get to sit there and brag about that. They get to talk about that. It always seems like there's a first here, and I don't want to do the first. I want to do the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. So I want to continue. This is what CHA is all about.
Yay, Bronzeville! It's Christmas in the middle of summer.
It is often said that good things come to those who wait. Well, in this case, I'd have to say a great thing has come to a community that waited for over a decade.
This is what CHA is all about. Next time you come out here for
Brownsville. It's Christmas in the middle of summer.
It is often said that good things come to those who wait. Well, in this case, I'd have to say a great thing has come to a community that waited for over a decade.
This is what CHA is all about. Next time you come out here for This is what CHA is all about. Next time you come out here for